coach at Southern University for 3 years. He took Southern in Baton Rouge to a regional and has also been Memphis head coach with a winning season there. He has been Missouri coach this year, and of course, this is a team that's just getting started in the SEC, as is LSU. This is the way it lines up for Missouri. It's a club that hits well but does not pitch particularly well, at least to this point in the season. Garrett Goldbeck leads off as the DH. Caden Pierce, the center fielder. Mateo Cerna is catching. Caden Nicoletto is at first base. Brock Daniels, the left fielder. Jackson Lovich, the shortstop. The third baseman is Keegan Knutson. The second baseman is Trey Lawrence. Cameron Benson is the right fielder. And this is a lineup, Ben, that's going to take its cuts against Cade Anderson. He's been really, really good as the number one starter for the Tigers.
Yeah, just a sophomore. You see out of Madisonville, just east of here, Madisonville, Louisiana. And I tell you what, he's been good, Lynn. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You look at the numbers on the year, ERA a shade above 2. Look at the whip. Anytime you got a whip below 1, that's outstanding. And the strikeout to walk ratio off the chart, 6-1. Slider's a new pitch for him. The fastball's always been a good one, but the slider he learned, tried to bring it to a game last year, never could quite get it there, but had confidence this offseason and bring it into a ball game. And really, it's his best secondary offering. His last time out was March the 7th versus North Alabama, and I tell you what, he was outstanding. 6 innings, only 1 run he allowed, didn't walk a batter, and punched out 11 in 92 pitches.
Ben, you mentioned the outstanding strikeouts to walks ratio, 37 strikeouts, only 6 bases on balls. But equal to that, only 14 base hits allowed in 21 2/3 innings. So they're averaging, maybe 6 hits per 9 against him, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, the opponent's batting average, 189 so far against Cade Anderson. Now, having said that, the competition LSU has played this year hasn't been great. It's fixing to really get ramped up. This 30-game grind of the SEC schedule is coming. In my opinion, LSU, look, anybody can beat you, but LSU catches a little bit of a break, getting Missouri right out of the chute. Maybe these young guys get used because there's not a whole lot of experience on this LSU team playing SEC-type competition. So maybe LSU catches a little bit of break, but still, they better not take the Missouri Tigers lightly.
This game was to have been tonight, but it was moved backward, so to speak, starting earlier at 4:30 to avoid potential rain and storms this evening. Look at the wind blowing. It is whipping from 9 to 22 and gusts up to 35. I'll tell you what, Ben, if Columbus had this wind behind him when he left Spain, he would have arrived in the Americas in 1491.
It'd have been like a Ranger bass boat getting up on a plane is what you're saying.
Something like that. So here we go. There's a little more juice in the air as we start the SEC season. Ben McDonald, Len Rollins with you. We are delighted to have you with us. If you're one of those tuning in right now, call a buddy or two. They may be unaware the game time was changed, and get them hooked up. This will be a chance for Chris Stanfield, and he makes the play in center field. So Goldbeck, the DH, hits a fly ball to Stanfield for the first out, and this brings on Caden Pierce. Defensively, LSU lines up this way. We'll start at third base. It's Michael Braswell. Stephen Milam is next to him. Daniel Dickinson is the second baseman. Jared Jones at first. Derek Curiel, Chris Stanfield, and Josh Pearson in the pasture from left to right. And Luis Hernandez is behind the dish catching Anderson.
Yeah, LSU comes in fielding 978 on the year, Lynn. That's 6th best mark out of 16 teams in the SEC. So defense has been pretty solid for LSU to this point.
You'd like to have it maybe in that A plus range of 980 or above, but 978 is really good.
It's solid because LSU's defense, the last couple of years has been sporadic at times. Really good at times, but suffered in others. But we know when you get to the SEC play, you cannot afford to give teams extra opportunities. The offenses are just too good.
There's a late swing and a miss, and Anderson, who usually fills up the strike zone, collects his first strikeout.
Well, that's the new pitch for this year that we talked about just a couple of moments ago. That slider, and he's got a good one, especially lefty on lefty. He can start that ball kind of in the heart of the plate and have it drift off the outside edge. First strikeout of the night, or the day, I should say, for Cade Anderson so far.
Missouri 8-8 on the year, 2-3 in its last 5 games. No series wins this year for Missouri, a couple of splits. They open the season as part of the Puerto Rico Challenge. Mateo Cerna takes a hefty cut and fouls it back.
Yeah, you mentioned the offense is okay for Missouri. The pitching is where they have really struggled. But one thing they do well And when they do get on base, they're going to run. 32 stolen bases on the year. That's the 4th best mark in the SEC.
Cerna is played very deep and maybe a step or two the other way. There's that off-speed pitch. So he followed a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, Ben, with an 83-mile-an-hour pitch.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about a 4-pitch mix here. You know, fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup. And Cade Anderson will use them all. Remember, he's just a sophomore, Lynn, but he is a draftable sophomore. And D1 projections have him kind of in the 2nd round as of right now.
He is very, very poised, very deliberate, very unshakable on the mound.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you just can't tell. You know, you can't tell if he's rolling or if he's giving up a few runs because the demeanor is the same on the mound all the time. And I love that for a Friday night guy. You can't get too emotional.
There's a bender, it misses. You know who he reminds me of yesteryear and throws it a bit harder? Well, we'll get to that in just a minute. Lane Mestape.
Oh, yeah.
Hardly ever walked anybody.
Ooh. Little backdoor slider looked like that one just missed.
Jeff Head is calling balls and strikes. Matthew Wilbanks is at first base. Eric Gaucher, the second base umpire. And Danny Cricks is at third. The 3-2 pitch. A call, third strike.
That's how you want to get the party started.
Ellen Jones. 5 others are batting .300 or better. It's Curiel in left field, Jones at first base, Daniel Dickinson the second baseman. Ethan Fry gets the start as the cleanup hitter as the DH. Stephen Milam at shortstop, Josh Pearson the right fielder, Luis Hernandez is catching. Michael Braswell is at third base, and Chris Stanfield patrols center field. Curiel leads the way with a .450 average, and that's just a couple of points ahead of Jared Jones. Here's a senior, Ian Losey.
Yeah, Losey in his 5th year for Missouri Tigers. His first 4 years on campus, mostly a reliever with a few spot starts along the way. But this year he's jumped into that Friday night role for Missouri Tigers. And he's been pretty decent. He really has. I mean, he's 0-2, hadn't won a game yet, hadn't got a lot of run support. 19-30, struck out 26, and he's only walked 4. So typically he is a strike thrower as well, and that's what you want to see on your Friday night guys. And you see the mix. It's a 4-pitch mix. Fastball's pretty good for a left-hander, 90-93. He'll show you a slider, a changeup, and a cutter as well. And probably that cut fastball might very well be his best secondary offering.
He's given up a hit per inning, 20 hits in those 19 2/3 innings. But you're right, Ben, the control has been exceptional.
Yeah, he's not going to beat him. He's not going to beat himself very often.
Both he and Anderson throw a lot of strikes, and they work pretty quickly.
But this is an offense he has not faced this year when you talk about LSU's offense. You mentioned it, 346 team batting average. That's 3rd best in the nation. You look at the runs per game, 10.4 runs per game for LSU coming in. That's 3rd in the SEC and 8th in the nation as well. So this LSU offense, in my opinion, so far been better than what anybody thought it would be this early in the year.
And it's versatile. There are people on the bench now who are contributors as well who aren't in the starting lineup today. Losey will work from the stretch without base runners, and he finds the first pitch in the strike zone.
And you can kind of see it's a little bit different arm slot for Losey. It's what we call a low 3/4 slot. It's going to be really tough on the left-handers because the ball is going to feel like it's coming almost right at you if you're a left-hander.
That's a call strike. LSU this season against left-handed pitchers is batting a whopping .377. And interestingly enough, Losey has not fared as well against left-handers as he has against right-handers.
Yeah, he's what we call a reverse splits guy, which means lefties hit him better than right-handers hit him, which is a little bit odd. How about the year Derek Curiel is having? True freshman. It's not very often that true freshmen step on campus in the SEC and go to the leadoff spot and become maybe the team's best hitter. Twice as many walks as he has strikeouts in his freshman year. That's almost unheard of.
He is 8 for 16 against left-handed pitching, is Curiel. Last 6 games, he's hitting .500. He's driven in 5. He's been on base 8 times via a walk.
How about that bottom line right there? He has reached base safely in all 18 games this year.
That's the definition of an outstanding leadoff batter.
Well, that's why you want him in the leadoff spot, because he will take a walk.
After falling behind 2 strikes, The count is level.
And speaking of walks, that's what LSU's doing really well this year, Lynn. The 4th most walks in the SEC, but the 4th fewest strikeouts as well. So it's a team that walks a lot, that does not strike out very often.
It walks a lot to first base. It doesn't walk a lot back to the dugout.
That's another way to say it. I like that even better.
So the comparisons are starting to be made among Tiger fans. You've got Curiel. What about Todd Walker? Did they remind you of each other?
Very much so. Obviously both left-handed, about the same size. Curiel may be a little bit taller than what Todd Walker was, but when you talk about plate discipline, controlling the strike zone, not offering it balls out of the zone, an outstanding idea of what the strike zone is, that's what you're getting, And Curiel is as advanced as I've seen really almost any freshman. And I love his attitude. You know who he reminds me of, and I said this before, he reminds me of Alex Bregman when Bregman stepped on campus his freshman year. It's not cockiness, it's more I am confident. This is what I was made to do, is play the game of baseball, and I'm confident in my abilities to go out and play this game and play it at a very high level.
Here comes the 8th pitch to the leadoff hitter, Derek Curiel. And he spoils another one.
Well, Losey's showing him just about a little bit of everything. And Losey's got some experience. 5 years in college. This is his 53rd appearance, his 13th start. So he's been around the block once or twice.
Curiel will be followed by Jones and Dickinson. Lots of sunshine flooding the field right now with broken clouds. And the pitch popped up right side. Nicoletto, first baseman, is calling for it. Now gives way to the second baseman, and he has to lunge to make the catch. That was Trey Lawrence who made the catch, but it was not easy for him.
Well, everybody, if you're playing the outfield or the infield, you'd be well served to check out the wind and know which way the wind is blowing, because the way the wind is blowing, that's the direction it's going to go. Back into the field to play if it's over on that side, and everybody better be converging on pop-ups in the middle infield, because it's going to drift a lot with the way the wind is.
So after a long at-bat, Curiel is retired on a pop-up to the right side. And here is Jared Jones. Jones waits. He swings, and he can't catch up with it.
Well, we were sitting around when the season began going, Barrett Jones hit 28 long balls this year and had a phenomenal year. Is there any way he can top that? Well, guess what? He is on pace to do it.
His maturity and maturation as a hitter has been interesting to watch, because he was a waiver in his first year. By that I mean he swung at a lot of pitches that were not in the strike zone.
Yep.
That got better last year. It's outstanding this year.
That's what you hope you get, is growth in your players. And Jared Jones has had a lot of growth. You mentioned, he was a freshman All-American his freshman year. He hit 14 home runs, but played a lot earlier than SEC play rolled around, and all of a sudden, Jared Jones couldn't keep himself in the lineup. He just a little bit too much swing and miss. But then last year, started to kind of figure the strike zone out, started punishing the baseball, and it's even been better so far. His swing decisions off the chart.
And you see his temperature right now, let's call it, 12 for his last 23 at the plate.
That would qualify as being hot at the plate.
And he's driven in 11 runs during that time.
Well, this offense for LSU has been good all year long, but the home runs have really ticked up as of late. I went back and looked. The first 11 games of the year, the LSU only hit 9 home runs. The last 7 games, LSU has 19 home runs in their last 7 games. So the long ball all of a sudden is starting to come for LSU. Now, that's typical here in Baton Rouge, because as the weather warms up, you typically get the winds that you're getting today. The ball's starting to blow out a little bit. But because you remember early in the year, the wind was cool, wind kind of blowing in when they went to the tournament a little bit.
A lot of dampness.
Yeah, and so the ball didn't carry as well. But here as of late, it's starting to heat up in Baton Rouge, and these Tiger bats have heated up with the long ball as well.
The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He got Jones on strikes.
Boy, that's well done right there by Ian Losey. Little backdoor breaking ball. Kind of a lot like Kate Anderson, right? Starts it off the outside edge and just kind of bends it back and picks a strikeout up.
He had to swing because that ball was curling back over the outside part of the plate. And this brings on Dickinson. Dickinson shows body, lets it pass, ball 1. He's a .373 hitter. This is his 19th start. He's been in the lineup every day. A junior second baseman. Let's check Missouri's defense. Knutson and Nicoletto on the corners. Lovich and Lawrence are the middle infielders. Daniels, Peer, and Benson are the outfielders from left to right. And Cerna is catching Losi. That hit him. LSU gets a base runner and a bruise.
Yeah, it looked like that little cut fastball, trying to get it to the inside part of the plate and got it a little bit too far in, right off the elbow guard, it looked like, of Dickinson.
Yep.
Speaking of defense, and that's, talking to Carrick Jackson, head coach for Missouri before the game, he said, listen, our pitching has to get better, but our defense has to improve too. You look at their fielding percentage, they're dead last in the SEC, and he said, we got to catch the ball and make the routine plays a little bit better than what we've been doing.
Here's Ethan Fry, the youngster from Rose Pine. And there's a bender for a strike. Have you ever been through Rose Pine?
I don't think I have.
Don't exceed the speed limit.
And don't blink.
True, but don't exceed.
Because you'll go right through it.
Don't exceed the speed limit.
But if you're exceeding the speed limit, you'll be there a little bit longer, is what you're saying. Because you're going to get a driving fast. You're going to get a driving fast certificate, is what you're saying.
I would go a 5 under, just to be sure.
Wow, that strict, huh?
Pretty strict.
It almost sounds like you're speaking from experience.
I got a Christmas card from him.
That's kind of what we're talking about. ERA dead last, defense dead last for Missouri.
I mean, it makes Livonia look like the Audubon. This ball is cued off to Lovich. He kind of double clutches his throw and throws it away. Tigers are running the bases. A turn at third, but he will return. Dickinson and Fry wind up at third and second on a misplay by Lovich, the shortstop.
Yeah, this is kind of what I'm talking about, right? This is pretty much just a routine play, and the shortstop Lovich comes in. Now, he does everything right. He comes to get it. Ball not hit very hard, but watch the transfer. Right there, never got a good grip on the ball, just kind of shoves it over to first base. That actually might go down as a single and an error because the throw didn't look like, even if it was on line to me, it was going to get him. Because the shortstop, Lovich, just couldn't get anything on the throw, never got a good grip on the ball.
So far, they've ruled it as an error.
There's definitely an error in there because you got extra bases, but I thought he might have beat that out.
That might still being pondered. Here's Stephen Milam. You know, Milam obviously physically is not the equal of Jared Jones, but when you look at their batting stance and their mannerisms in the batter's box, they look very similar. Mm-hmm. Watch the way he'll arch his back.
Yeah, a lot of the LSU
Cruz
hitters
did a
are
lot
doing
of
that.
that.
I think Dylan Cruz is kind of the guy that got that started a little bit for
Wide
LSU.
stance, knees bent.
And it's about the posture, right? I mean, I think they're reminding themselves to be more upright and not leaned over or bent over too much. Jared Jones does it. Milam does it. I see others doing it on the team as well. Josh Jordan does it.
Dickinson was hit by a pitch with 2 outs. Fry reached on a 2-base throwing error from the shortstop. And now it's Milam.
Josh Pearson, I'm sorry. Josh Jordan's LSU's third base coach.
Well, he might do it too. The pitch. Spoiled. You know, Ben, we saw what Milam was capable of last year. Here are the RBI leaders for the Tigers. Jones and Dickinson between them have 54. Milam at 20, that's a big number. Curiel and Pearson 16 apiece.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was worried about Stephen Milam hitting it all. I think they thought he would hit this year, and he has. The question mark when me and you last got together was opening day, and
right.
He was making the transition, was Milam, from second base to shortstop, and then people wondered, could he play the shortstop position? So far, he has proven himself, yes, he can play the shortstop position.
Pete in scoring position. We've played one. It's opening day of LSU baseball for many, many, many years, decades, in fact.
No doubt. I mean, Skip Bertman, arguably the greatest college baseball coach of all time, and I think around here you would say that he is. And behind every successful man, I've always felt that he is a special lady. And Sandy Bertman was that. She was our team mom. She helped Skip through a lot of different things. She's a big supporter, obviously, of the program. And it's a sad day. I think everybody's hearts are broken, not only in Baton Rouge, but around the college baseball world, all around the country.
Well, her influence and her knowledge was certainly felt all over the country. And she never met a stranger. She was so kind and absorbed a lot of jobs in those days that somebody else will do these days in the world of modern college baseball. But there's a wreath there in honor of Sandy Bertman. They were married 63 years.
Wow.
Earlier this year, Daniels hit safely in 10 consecutive games. That's the longest hitting streak so far this season for Missouri. He's batting .289. 1 home run, 10 driven in.
Yeah, this Missouri offense much improved so far from last year. I mean, last year they only hit .253. They're hitting .301, as you mentioned, in the open this year. And runs per game, 7.5 runs per game this year, only 5.8 last year. So the offense has been better this year so far.
Daniels is a guy who started his career at Oklahoma. He never played at Oklahoma. He sat out his freshman season as a Sooner and then transferred to Missouri before he had taken the field as a college player.
Now Oklahoma and Texas part of the SEC.
It just makes it better, doesn't it? There's a liner to right. The first base runner for Missouri on a solid single by Brock Daniels.
That was nice by Daniels. Lefty on lefty matchup, and boy, he just stayed right in there and put barrel on ball. 3-2 count, expecting a fastball, and he got one right there, kind of middle in. And puts a barrel on it for a solid base hit out to right field.
Do you have in front of you how Cade Anderson has done against left-handed batters?
I think we can find that. Let me get the interns on it. Let's see. Overall, his opponent's batting average 189. What is he against? I'm looking.
I'm showing 222 on some numbers I have.
Well, wow. So he's lefties are hitting him better than righties then, because overall he's 189. So that's a little bit odd. So we got 2 reverse splits guys out there.
He's only allowed right-handers to hit for a 170 average.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good lead at first base. And a well-hit ball to right field. Pearson is going to have to battle the sun, but he can't reach it. That's well up into the bleachers. It's a 2-run home run for Jackson Lovich. That ball just kept carrying through the sunshine halfway up the right field bleachers. His 3rd home run of the year, and Missouri on a long ball from Lovich takes a 2-0 lead.
Well, that's some real juice right there. This is opposite field, and this ball didn't just barely sneak over the wall. And fastball just up enough, and boy, he does a nice job not trying to pull this ball, just kind of goes with it. And look where this thing lands. I mean, it's about 10 or 12 rows up, straightaway right field. Impressive swing by Jackson Lovich.
Anderson has yielded 4 home runs this season, and the Missouri Tigers get to the scoreboard first. Here's Knutson from Janesville, Wisconsin. LSU has not trailed in many games in the non-conference part of the season, but they find themselves down 2-0 on a 2-run homer in the second inning.
I like this visit by pitching coach Nate Yeskie. Just come out and calm his left-hander down a little bit, get him back in the strike zone. Last couple batters, Anderson has fallen a little bit behind and gotten some predictable counts, and it's hurt him.
Rain is expected tonight and tomorrow morning. If the forecasts are okay, it should be winding up late afternoon. So, Ben, we're hopeful that things will go off on time tomorrow night, and also Sunday looks pretty good.
Sound like this weather could get nasty, too, during the day tomorrow. They're talking about high winds, a lot of rain, possible hail and tornadoes. Whatever happened to just the old usual quarter-inch rain shower? It seems like when it rains now, we're battling winds and tornadoes and
8 inches of snow in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right.
A month ago. The 2-1 pitch. That's high.
Yeah, that's kind of where Anderson's missing so far this inning, is just elevated above the top of the strike zone.
That's a strike in the upper part of the zone. Knutson tried to beg his way on. Anderson had struck out 3 in a row before the single and the home run.
Yeah, Jeff Head, home plate umpire, says not so fast, young man.
And Knutson can't come up with that pitch and becomes the second out of the inning on strikes.
3-1 count, fastball for a call, and another fastball. That's as well placed here. That's kind of where Cade Anderson makes his money right there. Is on the outside part of the plate to right-handers, just down in the zone.
Here's Trey Lawrence, the second baseman. He's from Palmetto, Florida. A strikeout, a single, a home run into the right field bleachers by Lovich. And another strikeout. Lawrence is hitting .231. He does not have an extra base hit. He's a first-year Tiger. Josh Pearson coming toward the infield, calls for it and makes the play.
But there are 14 SEC teams ranked, depending on what poll you look at. Look at the D1 baseball poll. I think there's 12 SEC teams ranked right now. The top 4 spots belong to SEC schools.
Josh Pearson is hit by the first pitch he sees. Well, Dickinson was plunked in the first inning with 2 outs. Pearson is hit by a pitch leading off the second. Then here's what you were just talking about. This is one of several polls, but LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Georgia, 1, 2, 3, and 4 out of the SEC.
Yeah,
How about Florida at 7, and then you go down and go all the way to number 17, Alabama.
Yeah, and even Auburn's in there at 25 too, you know, and Texas A&M's kind of been the big disappointment. Preseason number 1 in everybody's poll. They're all the way down to 19th right now, and they are reeling. Tennessee, I believe, is the only undefeated team left in college baseball. They still have not lost a game.
Can you believe the Aggies at this point have the worst batting average in the SEC?
No, because they returned so many position players off of offense last year. It was really good. Now, they did lose their All-American third baseman in Grahovac. He got hurt and is out for the year, so that's been a big blow for them. But still, Chase Laviolette, who's supposed to be, could be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's a little bit slow getting started offensively, and some of the other guys as well.
The Aggies are hitting .268 as a team. Here's Hernandez from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Hernandez started to get it going. He had a little bit of a slow start for LSU. Put up big numbers last year.
This is well tagged deep to center field. Pierre is back, looking up. He leaps. He cannot get it. You can pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye. A game-tying swing by Luis Hernandez. Hola!
Wow. Speaking of heating up, huh? It was a slow start to the year for Hernandez, who transferred to LSU from Indiana State after a monster year there last year. Well over 20 home runs. That's his second long ball of the year. And he touched that one. Watch this swing right here by the senior catcher. Just a fastball elevated right in the heart of the plate, Lynn, and he got every stitch of that one. And he knew it when he touched it. He had home run number 2.
That ball is hit probably 415, maybe 420 feet. And on that swing, Hernandez has done to Missouri what Lovich did to LSU, a 2-run home run. Here's Braswell. It's hit sharply to the shortstop. Lovich with a long throw. This one's on the money for the out. So 1 gone, 2 across the plate on the Hernandez homer, and it brings on Chris Stanfield. Stanfield is hitting quietly .327. This is a real luxury to have a well over 300 hitter batting 9th.
Yeah, and having his best year. First 2 years were at Auburn. And the defense always played. Like, defensively, he's as good as anybody out in center field. But the bat was a little bit behind, and Jay Johnson kind of broke him down a little bit. A little bit different stance, a little bit different swing, and so far it's paying off. Anytime you got a guy hitting the 9-hole that's hitting .327, that is a luxury.
That's fouled off of Stanfield's foot in the batter's box. The 1-1 pitch. That's right down the middle. Low C tries to hit the outside corner and steers it a little bit high and wide. 2-2. A pair of 2-run homers that punctuated the second inning. One for Missouri, one for LSU. There's a bender. And Stanfield recognized it as it was spinning out of the strike zone. The left fielder, Brock Daniels, is only a couple of steps away from the warning track. There's ball 4, a very patient walk by Stanfield.
That's this LSU offense at its best right there. We talked about their walks this year, 4th most walks in the SEC.
That's the first base on balls issued by Losi. He's hit a couple of batters. So, Ben, you talked about the Missouri defense. It's been lacking to this point, and already we've seen it. 2 hit batters, an error, and a walk.
Yeah, defense in the SEC is so important because these offenses are just too good. You know, you start playing Tennessee, Arkansas, LSU, Florida. You give teams extra base runners, extra at-bats, you're going to pay for it.
And pay dearly.
Tennessee leads the SEC and leads the nation at 12 runs per game. They've already got 50 home runs this year. Tennessee does in just 17 games.
My goodness. Stanfield has attempted 3 stolen bases. He's been caught once. He probably takes the biggest lead on average than any other Tiger. He's leaning a little bit towards second. Not going. Pierre gathers himself in center field, and he squeezes it for the second out. So Curiel, who popped up to the second baseman his first at bat, flies to center field in the second, and this brings on Jared Jones.
There's LSU's offense we were talking about, Lynn. Figuring out a way to get on base and keep the line moving, and they have done that so far this year. And what's equally impressive to me is LSU has not struck out much either. The fourth fewest strikeouts in the SEC. So it's 1 through 9, and they're going to pressure you up 1 through 9. And that's what's kind of different about this offense this year versus last year. Last year it was kind of top heavy. You got down to the bottom, and it wasn't a lot of production. This year it's just the opposite. There's production for LSU 1 through 9.
Let's see what Jones can do after he struck out swinging in the first.
Yeah, struck out swinging. Remember that little backdoor breaking ball by Losi.
Jones eyes it wide.
That's a pretty good lead right there.
Not going from first base. Jones with a helicopter swing. That one sucked up dust around the plate.
That's one thing about Jerry Jones. He doesn't get cheated at the plate. He is looking to do damage.
Two ball game. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Jared Jones with 2 outs and a teammate at first base. After an earlier Hernandez 2-run home run. Dickinson is on deck. Daniels is even deeper in left field this time. Oh, Jones was fooled by that pitch. That was not his full cut. Well, he has fans.